What's happening, people? I'm what you need. You're watching my channel. If you like this video, don't forget you can share, like, subscribe. You can also check in the chat section here, as well as you can donate via Western Union or MoneyGram. We're going to talk about a series of fights that are upcoming, and I'll start off with Tara Gosha versus Erickson Lubin. I think this is a good matchup. First of all, uh, Gosha says he's looking to try and stop Erickson Lubin. Now we'll see how that pans out. Erickson Lubin was talking about also the fact that he wants, after he beats Gausha, he wants to go and have this. Um, he wants to have this rematch with Jamel Charlo. So it kind of positions them to get the winner of Charlo versus Rosario, which happens over this weekend. So I think Charlo versus Rosario is supposed to happen this weekend. So this should be a good fight. Um, what do I think about this fight? Let me just say a couple things. I don't know who you guys are picking, but of course, Taro Gusha is a very good fighter, and we saw him against, I think it was Austin Trout, if I'm not mistaken. And Austin Trout got the victory, but a lot of people thought that Gusha won that fight. Um, of course, we saw recently Erickson Lubin get his stoppage win over his last opponent, so that's good for him. I personally think, though, that in all of the fighters and all the fights that I've seen, that this is a good matchup. It's a sleeper, and you guys got to pay attention to it. Of course, um, we're also talking about the Rosario fight with Charlo. Rosario acknowledging that he thinks that that fight is going to be harder because Charlo's a much stronger guy than um, Julian Williams, J Rock. So it should be a very interesting fight. I'm looking forward to those two fights. But we'll see what happens when it comes down to those fights that are going to happen on Showtime. But I just wanted to mention that. Now, there is another fight that I want to talk about. But let me go into this one. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. We know it's on. Um, so we're looking forward to that fight, as well as Povetkin versus Dillian White 2. It should happen this year as well. The date is set for that, so that's good. Anthony Joshua versus Kubrat Pulev is also supposed to come down the end of this year. So we got some good fights coming up at the end of the year. We also have Roy Jones Jr. versus Mike Tyson. Now, a lot of people I've seen out there saying that Roy Jones Jr. said, he as if he was having second thoughts of facing Mike Tyson. That's not what Roy was saying. Roy was saying that, um, he wasn't in the best physical shape to face Mike Tyson. But quite frankly, he's going to face Mike Tyson, and he's ready to face Mike Tyson. Now, Danny Williams came out and spoke about this a little while back. Danny Williams was one of the guys that beat Mike Tyson at the end of his career, and he was saying that Roy is too small, that he's coming up from middleweight. Let me just say this about guys being too small, because I'm hearing this talk, but now that I think about it, is Lomachenko too small for Teofimo Lopez? That's an excuse. He's been fighting at lightweight for the longest while. He came all the way up from featherweight. Gary Russell Jr. So was Gary Russell Jr. too small for Devin Haney? No, no, they're not too small. But a fight's a fight, skills are skills. Okay, we got guys that made their living doing that. Manny Pacquiao. We had Pernell Whitaker. We had Julio Cesar Chavez. We had Floyd Mayweather, Roy Jones Jr., James Toney. I can go on and on and on, right? Guys who were smaller guys than the other guys, Evander Holyfield, Michael Moore. I mean, we've had guys who've been smaller come up and fight bigger guys, and they did just fine. So size is not necessarily the thing. If you got skills, the size really don't matter. So what I would say is this. I would say that Roy Jones Jr. was just maybe he was saying, it's kind of late, he wasn't in his prime, but he gonna fight Mike Tyson, and he says if we got to blitz, we're gonna blitz. He knows Mike Tyson will come out spectacular in round one. He knows that's where he would shine the best. And Roy knows what he got to do in that round one to make sure that Mike Tyson doesn't catch him with something that could really, put his lights out, or really. So he understands it. In fact, Roy said, that when he training other fighters and stuff, as he's a trainer now, he realized some of the tools that he put into his tool bag that he put in the tool shed instead of keeping in his tool bag, when he's fighting. So Roy's using those tools again, coming back to those tools. And once he does that, like I said before, I believe that Roy Jones Jr. will do just fine in the exhibition fight. I don't think that Mike Tyson is going to, a lot of people feel that Mike Tyson's just going to overwhelm Roy and beat him up. I just don't see it. Roy's been always this elite fighter. And once you're using the right footwork, and Roy has pretty good footwork. I know his knees are not that great, but he has pretty good footwork. So you just shorten up everything. You just shorten up everything is what I would say, because your knees are not so great. But Roy has that movement, man, that duck-like movement that is gonna give Mike Tyson a lot of problems because Mike Tyson going to line him up and come at him, and it's not just gonna be that easy, right? Roy's gonna turn him. Roy's gonna give you that half step back, half step back, half step back movement. Mike would be like, huh? I know what I'm talking about. You go watch Roy's fight and you see what I'm talking about. Um, so yeah, Roy wouldn't be able to employ that big set of athleticism. He's gonna stand more in front of Mike Tyson, sort of like kind of slight angles, turning all the time. But I do think Roy's gonna handle his stories in that fight. Roy's making it out to be a David versus Goliath. He's kind of amping it up a bit. Mike Tyson ain't fought in years, so Roy got an advantage on that. Having fought just 3 years ago and always staying ready, always in the gym, always doing that cardio because it's not about the muscles you see on the outside. Let's listen to an interview, Mike Garcia with Ellie Back as Mike Garcia prepares for his next fight. Mike was saying, some weightlifters and weight trainers that come ripped and they can't even last 30 seconds in the ring, whereas he could go like 4 rounds easy. You know what I'm saying? 6 rounds easy. So, a lot of people think that Mike Tyson, because we see him on the mid bag, I'm not saying he's not sparring and doing other things, but, because if people see Mike Tyson, he looks ripped and he looks really good and ready. That means that he, destroy Roy. And then, you see, boxing is one of those things where your muscles are not necessarily how ripped you are. Your muscle memory has to do with how durable you are. It's more cardio than it is um, toning of your muscles. And from watching at Dr. Bo Hightower, shout out to Dr. Bo Hightower's channel, chiropractor, sometimes your muscles are in the wrong places anyway. Because with boxing, there's a certain set of muscle groups that you use to throw punches, to get your balance, to move in the ring. So I'm not saying Mike Tyson doesn't have that and it's not working out well for him and he's not using the proper treatments. I'm just saying that um, he hasn't been doing it as often as Roy has. So Roy has an advantage over that. Roy's gonna be the smaller guy, the guy more mobile guy. As sharp and as fast and explosive as Mike Tyson is, he stands in front of you sometimes before he makes his attack. So there's a lot of things, I don't know. I think Roy has the reach advantage. So all of those things will come into play. I mean, Mike is probably the same height as Roy. So this is a good fight because they're the same height, they're about the same size. Um, Mike's not a big heavyweight. He might outweigh Roy by 40, 50 pounds, but he's not really a big heavyweight. That is to say, dimension wise. So all of that works in Roy's favor if he wants to keep him at bay, if he wants to turn him, if he wants to engage him. It all works in his favor. So I'm just saying. Into the next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. We talked about Roy. Yes, Teofimo Lopez versus Vasily Lomachenko. Man, so Teofimo Lopez said he want to make history. He want to be the only guy, in history to become undisputed in a long time. We haven't had an undisputed lightweight champion since I think it was since Pernell Whitaker. I think it was the last guy, and I was with 3 belts. He'll be the first guy to be undisputed with 4 belts. So that's big. And looking forward to seeing what Teofimo Lopez can do. He's saying different things like there's no rematch clause. And even then he was saying that, he wants to be somebody to make history to beat Teofimo Lopez. He says, a lot of people don't giving Vasily Lomachenko too much respect. So I mean, I mean, me personally, I think that Teofimo Lopez, I think he has what it takes to beat Vasily Lomachenko by KO. We'll see. We'll see. I think he has the tools to do it. I'm staying with my pick that the fight don't last. It don't go beyond 5 rounds. If it goes beyond 5 rounds, I guess I'll lose my money. But I think Tia's gonna catch him early. I think he's gonna catch him coming in. I think he's gonna catch him doing what Lomachenko do. I mean, Lomachenko does what he does, and he gonna get caught. He gonna get caught because you don't have. See, Lomachenko won't have much of an option if Teofimo Lopez takes away the weak side attack. Then Lomachenko will try and attack him in the strong side, feint him, get him to throw a punch, and then and come down the center, which keep his head off center and come down the center. That may be something he could do. Lomachenko, a lot of people say, he has good, head movement. I don't see that. Lomachenko don't have good head movement. He does sometimes bend at the waist and slip punches and try and get to the inside, but for the most part, he don't know how to bob and weave and all of that kind of upper body movement thing. So that's where his Hercules heel is going to be. That's where Teofimo Lopez is going to take advantage of it with the lead right, especially the lead right. The lead right is going to be a big factor in this fight. And I just think that, like I said before, I think Lomachenko is custom made for Teofimo Lopez's style. And I think Teofimo Lopez's style is just going to do what it do. He gonna catch him. He gonna catch him coming in. And no matter how much Lomachenko tries to take every single precaution he possibly can, it's not gonna make a difference. He's going to do that. He's going to have to close the gap. He's going to have to close the distance to get to his preferred range, and he's gonna get caught coming in, no matter how much he tries. He's gonna try and feint it. He's gonna try all kinds of things, but he's gonna get caught coming in, and that's something that just is inevitable in this fight. Whether he can survive it for how long, and how Teofimo Lopez pressed the fight. If Teofimo Lopez is too aggressive and he's not respecting range and distance, and Teofimo Lopez might even be able to push him into the corners and stuff if he can maintain range behind his jab or behind his right hand, particularly his right hand. Like his right hand could be a big factor in this whole entire fight. Like he can almost do everything off the right hand if he wants the right hand lead because it's southpaw. If he knows how to use the right hand lead against southpaws, that's the other thing. That's a kind of if in the equation. But if that's what Teofimo Lopez like, he's a right hand happy guy. He gonna have a great time because he sees it. He sees the shots and he knows how to line it up and use that right hand appropriately. That's the big tool in this fight. And that's why I think Lomachenko. I don't think he wanted to face Teofimo Lopez for the longest while. He never really wanted to have anything to do with Teofimo Lopez because he knew that he had to pass the torch to Teofimo Lopez. So it is what it is. I mean, I try to explain it to you guys, but I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm happy to say I'm wrong. I'm kudos to Lomachenko if he could show that he can get past that right hand, but I don't think he can. So we'll see. And Teofimo Lopez don't have to do nothing. Just be Teofimo Lopez, fight on the outside like he always do. But just deny weak side. Deny Lomachenko. Every time Lomachenko try to go weak side, before he could do that, you take a step back and you pivot. You pivot off the step back, and that make a respect distance. So Lomachenko can't turn you. You're not responding to him. You're not turning with him. Because if you turn with him, he's gonna catch you. But that's all he got to do. And then Lomachenko's got to find another way to get on the inside. He's gonna try and go the power hand, try to feint Teofimo Lopez, let Teofimo throw off a shot so he could go power side. But that's all just to get back to weak side. So what Lopez has to do there again, if he's moving forward, he move backward. What I'm trying to say is Lopez needs to be able to not just come forward and pressure Lomachenko, but he must be able to move back and forward, back and forward. Because that's what Lomachenko do. Just a small check, just to make sure he in range, out range. We'll see. I don't know if he could do all of that, but it doesn't have to be that complex either. Like I said before, he just need to be himself, and he's gonna catch him. He's gonna catch him. He's gonna catch him. It's just what it is. He's gonna catch him. So let me talk to you guys about another. I got to talk about this one. So they're talking about Logan Paul being a possible opponent for Floyd Mayweather in an exhibition fight. Floyd wanted to do an exhibition fight. He wanted to do one for the end of the year. Me personally, I don't really care. Like, it's an exhibition fight, so it doesn't really matter who Floyd faces. And they're talking about, the YouTubers and the subscriptions and stuff, and just getting a lot of YouTube pay and making a YouTube pay-per-view big. My thing is this. I know it doesn't really matter, but people will go to see Logan Paul and they'll go to see Floyd. Logan Paul is this big YouTuber. He does all kinds of things. So this will just be one of Logan Paul's other, what do we call it? Adventures. right? Where he gets to face the best boxer of all time, and so on. Um, I mean, so Logan Paul is known in the United States and everything, and he's a popular YouTuber, and definitely if you make it a pay-per-view, there'll be a lot of pay-per-view buys because of the YouTube thing, and then Floyd being in the equation, and Logan Paul getting the opportunity to face Floyd will be huge, right? Now, I'm not saying that this is actually going to happen. This is a rumor. This is a rumor, but Ryan Garcia sort of validated it by saying Logan Paul want to face Floyd Mayweather. Prayers go up for Logan Paul, right? That's what Ryan Garcia said. Now, I don't know how true this is in the sense that is Logan Paul actually going to face Floyd Mayweather? This is a rumor, okay? Floyd never confirmed anything or none of that. So it's just a rumor. My thing is this. And it doesn't really have to, it doesn't really, it's an exhibition fight, so it doesn't really matter, right? But my thing is this. For me, personally, Logan Paul got beat by KSI. Yeah, Logan Paul fought good against KSI and all of that, but he got beat by KSI. If Floyd got to face somebody, why not face KSI? I'm just saying. Or face another guy who has had pro fights and he's undefeated. Jake Paul. Yeah, Jake Paul is facing Nate Robinson on the Roy Jones Jr. versus Mike Tyson undercard. But he could drop that in a heartbeat and go face Floyd Mayweather instead. Why? Because Jake Paul actually showed he can knock out people. He actually stopped somebody. You know what I mean? So if no, I'm just saying, Jake Paul, to me, why face the dude? Yeah, okay, he has YouTube views and stuff, but I think out of all of them, I think KSI has the more YouTube views. I might be wrong. I think that Logan Paul couples with Jake Paul. He couples with Jake Paul to get numbers higher um, than KSI. But KSI actually has higher numbers than Logan Paul on YouTube. That is, or Logan Paul, but not Logan Paul and Jake Paul. They couple up together. But if you just do Logan Paul by itself, you got higher numbers than Logan Paul. And the point is, KSI is trained by the Mayweathers anyway, so it could be in house, and Mayweather Promotions could promote it, and they can make a ton of money. You know what I'm saying? I would prefer to see Mayweather versus KSI because KSI has a country behind him. I mean Logan Paul would have a country behind him too. But if you gotta face a YouTuber, why not face the best YouTuber out there? The guy who's most successful while he's a boxer at the same time, right? YouTuber boxer. And I just think that that would be a mega, mega, mega event if he would face, say, KSI or Jake Paul. Out of the three of them, the one who has not won a single pro fight is Logan Paul. So why would if I gotta face a guy with one pro fight or two pro fights, I think KSI has one pro fight. He won his pro fight. Jake Paul has one pro fight. He won his pro fight. Right? If I got to face and KSI had the pay per view, he headlined the pay per view. I would go with the guy that headlined the pay per view. That actually, the guy who won the pay per view that he headlined. I would go with that because he's very successful. He's up and coming, and it could boost KSI's career. So if there's any argument for the guy that I would have wanted Floyd to face would be KSI. Now KSI is not actually as good. He's kind of sloppy compared to Logan Paul. But then again, if you ask me, Logan Paul is long. Now, by the way, KSI and Logan Paul, they are huge guys, right? Logan Paul's like what, 6'1", weighs like 190 something pounds. KSI came in like 180 something, 170 something. So they're big guys. And in his exhibition fight, they go in the weight they are. Okay. But the thing about it is, KSI actually got the victory over Logan Paul, even though Logan Paul dropped KSI. Okay. Jake Paul dropped his opponent as well, stopped him. Jake Paul's a little smaller than Logan Paul. Jake Paul, though, has more boxing. He's probably the better boxer and the more aggressive boxer. So between the two, that's why I said KSI is a very aggressive boxer himself. I'm guessing the Mayweather would still have to train him. I guess Jeff Mayweather would train him to try to get him up to the best speed possible so he could face Floyd. Um, you know, But out of them all, the best boxer in all of them, I think, is Jake Paul. I think Jake Paul is better boxer than Logan Paul because he got more of a killer instinct, So of all of them, I think Jake Paul is the better boxer of all of them. But because Jake Paul didn't face KSI, if like say Jake Paul faces KSI and beats KSI, let's just say Jake Paul somehow beats KSI, which could be possible. Then I would have had Floyd face Jake Paul. I know this is meritocracy I'm talking. It's an exhibition fight. Who gives a damn? People are going to watch it anyway. But my point is that, he's faced the best kickboxer, at least at the weight class, Tenshin Nakasaki or whatever his name is, Nakasakawa, whatever. I'm sorry, I butchered his last name. And then he faced the best MMA fighter at the time, which was Conor McGregor. Okay. He faced two of the best guys, and the little tension guy was undefeated, right? I mean, gotta give it something. I mean, Logan Paul, he got viewers and subscriptions and all of that, and he's a big, big guy. I mean, KSI is a big guy compared to Floyd. They're much bigger than him, but they can't like freaking a. They're not boxers, okay? They're not real boxers. They're YouTube boxers. You know what I mean? But they're not real boxers. You know what I mean? And so, if you're gonna pick, at least have one of them that's undefeated. You know what I'm saying? KSI and Jake Paul, they're undefeated boxers. Floyd would be making fun of undefeated boxers by doing that, in my opinion, um, in the sense that everybody always like to talk about, oh, he beat an undefeated boxer. This guy beat okay, Joe Floyd. Oh, if he faced Jake Paul or he faced KSI, they would be undefeated. The only thing is, this is what I'm about to say. He is retired, so it doesn't really matter. But the point is that they get to share the ring with Floyd, and so many boxers would have died to share the ring with Floyd, but just because their numbers are up and people view them, they're gonna get the chance to face Floyd. You know what I'm saying? Now, all of this taken as a pinch of salt. It's just a rumor. I don't even know why I'm talking this because I don't usually do gossip, but it's just rumor. And it'd be interesting though if Logan Paul got a fight with Floyd Mayweather. That'd be like, man, god damn it, this dude lost his freaking fight with KSI, and he gets to fight Floyd. Oh, come on, man. I don't think Floyd would do something like that. But then again, you never know because it's an exhibition fight, so he could face a cab driver off the street. He's not. You can see one thing about Floyd I noticed is he's still very selective about who he faces. He's still trying to face the best and say, "I conquered, I conquered." The MMA people. I conquered in boxing, of course. I conquered, the kickboxing people. Okay, but the guy's not even your weight class. You know what I'm saying? But he can say it at least. You know what I mean? And now, did you really conquer the YouTube thing? Did you really? I'm just saying. Hold on a second. So, anyway, that was another thing I had to talk about. Of course, we got to ask ourselves, who do you think that, since we mentioned Floyd, in the same sentence, I might as well mention Pacquiao. Who do you guys think that Manny Pacquiao should face next? Because Manny Pacquiao is actually not retired, right? He's still boxing. He is the WBA super champion. So who do you think he could face? That's the $100 million question for now. And leave it in the comment section. Who do you think he should face? Again, whoever Pacquiao feel like facing right now, if he decided he wanted to face a cab driver, he wouldn't do that. But if he decided to, I'm not gonna knock him. He did enough in his career. If you want to finish with a bang, finish with a bang. You know what I mean? My thing is this. Manny Pacquiao is a living legend. And so he's up there with the all-time greats. Was up there with the all-time greats. Pacquiao Although he was beaten by Floyd, he showed he's no more over. A lot of guys think they could just beat Pacquiao. Nope. He probably got one more fight in him. Maybe one more. Maybe one more after that. He said he wants his final fight in the Philippines. A lot of people saying he must face Errol Spence. He must face Terrence Crawford. I'm like, he doesn't must need to do nothing. Face whoever he wants. You understand? Because Manny Pacquiao, his names are forever etched in the sands of time. Anything else he does from this point onwards is just icing on the cake. You know what I mean? He don't have to prove himself to nobody. Floyd, in the meantime, is making this. He got a good old time. You know? He's capitalizing off his name now. Which, why not? Why not? Well, he's had such great opposition. He's a legendary fighter. People are even starting to call him TBE now. People, detractors and haters are now starting to call him TBE. The best ever. You know, the man sacrificed his whole life for that. So he's reaping the rewards. Right now, he's facing fights for people to just come and see him. Oh, come see Floyd in this. Come see Floyd in that. That's what's he doing now. Doing his exhibitions. So he's going all around the world and just letting people see what he could do, his skills, that kind of thing. Like Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. I'm pretty sure Floyd kind of gave the idea. Mike Tyson and Roy. They decided to spice it up though. They're saying, okay, we're gonna do a throwback that never happened. You know what I'm saying? Exciting stuff. You know. Even the haters right now have to acknowledge. I was in our chat group. They have to acknowledge both Manny Pacquiao and Floyd, all-time greats. I'm feeling a hater. Like, I literally hate Floyd. He was like, man, this is ridiculous. I was like, whoa. You know, because the truth came out on him. With Pacquiao, it's much more easier for people to accept because very few people hate Pacquiao. I used to hate Pacquiao. But I don't hate him no more. I'm learning in the business of boxing, there's a lot of hype on fighters. It's been so for a long time. And fighters people like are fashioned by the media and the narrative around them. And so I've come to understand, it's not about the truth of the fighter, it's how people perceive them. And usually this is influenced by the fighting style of the fighter or the complexion of the fighter or the behavior of the fighter. All those things. When I say behavior of the fighter, I'm not talking about whether they beat women or not, but just the way how they engage the fans. You know? Because they say, it's about humility. Oh, really? Conor McGregor was a humble guy. He's in problems with the law right now for assault. Right? It's popular. To this day. Right? So I don't believe the bullshit about humility of the fighter. It's not true. what I notice is fighters who lose, you can tell if they got a degree of arrogance in them or if they truly humble. Anthony Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz. Anthony just a humble guy. Because he said, I lost, the better man won. That was that. Sergey Kovalev lost to Andre Ward. What'd he say? Oh, he hit me low, blah, 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 blah. He made a whole set of excuses. He's arrogant. That's why he had to make those excuses. Those guys who are arrogant, I don't care how tough they are, which a power puncher they say they are, they can't learn. Because if you don't acknowledge the judges gave a decision to the other guy, now you can't change whatever you got to change in your game to figure out why you lost to the guy. Right? For Kimber's really good. So, real talk. You gotta be humble. I remember Marcus used to say, I don't know why. I don't know why the judges didn't give me the fight. I don't know why. I gotta change something. I don't know what it is, but I have to change something. I don't know why. She'll tell you, I thought I won the fight. Later on, after he knocked out Pacquiao, he was like, the judges rubbed me, man. They rubbed me. I won. All the fights. I get where he's coming from in terms of he outboxed Pacquiao in the first fight. But you can't ignore that Pacquiao dropped you like 3 times, man. Come on. We're well behind scorecards. Pacquiao dropped him in the second fight. So, third fight went to him, I thought. But he was like, I don't know what happened. Marquez. Funny guy. So, humility, When you lose, look, man, I lost, bad man won. If we do a rematch, if we do it again, I'm going to come better. I can guarantee you. Regis Prograis, another guy I respect. He gave Josh Taylor his props. After the fight, right after the fight. It's good. You work on your game and get better. So you can more convincingly win. Whether it's knock out the guy or whatever. What you need in the building. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.